Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Liberty Warrior Nation LWN Network. I am Tammy Nation, your host of Headline Hits every Monday through Thursday, noon Eastern Standard Time. I hope each and every one of you had a beautiful, wonderful Easter weekend and got some time to regroup, relax, and reground yourself, let's just say. And you got to share some wonderful prayers and church time and a meal at the table with your family and friends and children and grandchildren and all that good stuff. There was no shortage of news over the weekend, for sure. So we've got plenty to cover, but I do want to make the announcement that the Vatican did announce that Pope Francis has passed away at the age of 88 this morning. Vice President J.D. Vance just visited the Vatican and visit him yesterday on Easter Sunday. The Pope did participate in Easter services as well. President Trump just put out an order that all the flags should be flown at half-staff in memory of Pope Francis as a mark of respect for the memory of His Holiness Pope Francis. By the authority vested in me as President of the United States by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, he says, I hereby order that the flag of the United States shall be flown at half-staff at the White House and upon all public buildings and grounds, at all military posts and naval stations, and on all naval vessels of the federal government in the District of Columbia, and throughout the entire United States and its territories and possessions until sunset on the day of interment. I also direct that the flag shall be flown at half-staff for the same length of time at all United States embassies, legations, consular offices, and other facilities abroad, including all military facilities and naval vessels and stations. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 21st day of April in the year of the Lord 2025, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 249th. So a very, very nice, formal, moving respect for the flags being flown at half-staff for Pope Francis as we come off of Easter Sunday yesterday. Also, a couple things breaking, just I want to let you know before we head into the headline hits. Klaus Schwab has definitely stepped down as World Economic Forum chair. No reason was given as to why. He spoke earlier this month that he would step down eventually, but he didn't say when, and he still hasn't given a reason, but he did indeed do that today. And then also, Trump just made a post, President Trump, on his Truth Social account. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but rather by those who watch them without doing everything they can to stop them. So the president, very busy per usual, and we are going to cover at the end of the show the White House Easter egg event, which was a wonderful, beautiful celebration, I think. It was very classy compared to the year before. So we're going to go ahead and head into headline hits right after this. Once again, thanks for joining me. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in a few seconds. So as we head into headline hits today, there is a lot to cover. Let's first start off with Fauci. I don't think he's anybody's favorite person, but this I think is really going to unfortunately burn your britches. It did mine. Fauci raked in $3.5 million during first year of retirement for him from the government, which means we paid for it. In the year after he retired, Fauci pulled in approximately $3.5 million, cashing in on the fame he garnered during the COVID-19 pandemic, according to a financial disclosure obtained by government watchdog Open the Books. So there's a lot of information that's going to come out about these people as they investigate, and there's a lot of sources that we may not be familiar with. So we really have to make sure that we keep our eyes and ears open to what is actually going on, and it can be very time consuming and fatiguing, but your main media social platforms, as you know, are not going to cover it. So Dr. Fauci, according to Open the Books, assets soared during the worst of the draconian COVID lockdown, while families and small businesses struggled through school closures and lost income. We're well aware of that. We are the ones that experienced that. Now it's clear the cash kept coming during his first year of retirement. He was rubbing elbows with groups like AHIP, flanked by taxpayer-funded security, even as his wife remained the top bioethics at NIH. The Daily Caller reports Fauci received several six-figure deposits through 2023, totaling $1.15 million, according to a 141-page financial disclosure obtained by Open the Books. So this isn't hearsay. This isn't just one or two people saying it or reporting it for clicks or whatever it may be, or gossip. It comes from a 141-page financial disclosure report. It's a government watchdog group that covered this and is expressing this. The documents do not describe the source of the deposits. Fauci leveraged his celebrity status as the top trusted messenger on COVID-19 to pad his earnings in 2023, just as newly empowered congressional investigators sharpen their focus on the ways Fauci betrayed the public's trust at the pandemic's height. Fauci sold his memoir to a subsidiary of Penguin Random House for a reported $5 million in March of 2023. The news coincided with a March 2023 congressional memo showing Fauci had privately prompted an influential paper dismissing the theory that COVID could have been resulted from a lab accident. On July 1st, 2023, Fauci began an appointment at Georgetown University as a distinguished university professor in both socials of medicine and school socials of public policy. So he was a distinguished university professor, paid money for this School of Medicine and School of Public Policy. Roughly 2 weeks later, two of the co-authors of that paper testified to Congress about the extent of their collaboration with Fauci. Fauci has also made money through speaking gigs, including before the National Association of Chain Drugstores and American Health Insurance Plans. Additionally, he was awarded Columbia University's Colgan Prize and $50,000, as well as the National Academy of Medicine's Lean Hard Prize, which awards $40,000. Fauci's final government salary totaled an unprecedented $480,654, the highest salary earned by any of the roughly 2.4 million employees who work for the federal government, including the president, according to Open the Books. Fauci continues to accept a six-figure pension, the Daily Caller reported, and Fauci, remember, was pardoned for any crimes he may have committed since 2014 by Joe Biden on January 20th. So none of this sounds good. All this sounds fishy, and it is wrong when there's so many people that were fighting for their jobs, their homes, and we know what went on during the COVID pandemic. Up next, we have, will the ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine last longer than Easter weekend? Zelensky did embrace Putin's truce, suggests to extend it beyond Easter. We know at Easter weekend, they both decided to denounce no ceasefire and not have any of that during Easter weekend. But fighting has paused in most part of the front line. So we can't say that the cannons in Ukraine have gone completely silent, but there has been noticeably a change. If a truce has utterly failed, we'd be witnessing an orchestrated chorus in the pro-Kiev MSM denouncing it. Instead, what we saw, what appears to be papers and news all across the country and the world hedging their bets in case peace really breaks out. The New York Times wrote, Russia's move appears aimed at showing Moscow is still open to peace talks. Daily Mirror states President Vladimir Putin's truce announcement is a stunning move by the Kremlin. Washington Post headline, Russia's statement comes as Trump's camp shows wanting or waning interest in the drawn-out peace efforts. The Sun reports Putin's words seen as positive step toward much-needed peace in Eastern Europe. CNN even has gone as far as writing that the Easter truce could force Trump to adopt a pro-Russian stance and create difficulties for Ukraine if it's seen as violating what Washington sees as goodwill gesture from Moscow. Since Putin announced the Easter truce, there have been no air raid sirens in Ukraine. This is based on data from Ukrainian surveillance apps and official siren sources. Also, 2 days ago, a prisoner exchange did take place with Russia and Ukraine swapping 246 POWs each. So a complete ceasefire was never probable, but the Russian gesture and the Ukrainian reaction does add new hope with the negotiations after the U.S. announcement that it could abandon peace talks within days unless Moscow and Kiev get serious about negotiating. So let's hope that this is something that is going to stay quiet and calm. Next up, we have Trump approved an unprecedented executive order, $7 trillion, $7 trillion directly into the Social Security system from pensions. So it's going to Medicare, to disability benefits. This isn't fine tuning. This is the rebuilding starting May 1st, 2025. Tens of millions of Americans will see pensions rising to an all-time high. Each month, full government subsidization of healthcare expenses for people over 65, priority access to universal coverage programs for veterans. So he did indeed sign this. It's unprecedented. Is $7 trillion dumping into the Social Security system. So don't believe the hype from some of the people on the left, and even some that supposedly are on our side, saying that President Trump and his administration is going to take away Social Security from we the people, United States citizens. That is not the truth at all. We know that they're taking it away from illegals that don't deserve it, shouldn't have it, and for the people who are no more and no longer alive, still collecting it. Up next, we've got more on judges as well, as if you haven't got tired of the judges enough. But this is a good little thing. Justice Alito issued a strong rebuke of politically motivated order blocking Trump from deporting foreign terrorists under Alien Enemies Act. We've heard about this ongoing on and off with MSN-13 gang members, and it goes back and forth and back. Judge Boasberg was involved as well, trying to block Trump from keeping these people deported, wanting them back in the United States of America. Joined by Justin Clarence Thomas, Alito have called out the reckless and legally dubious move by the court's liberal majority to block President Trump's lawful efforts to deport dangerous foreign nationals under the Alien Enemies Act. So thank goodness some of the judges have common sense and are fighting back, because what happened was the U.S. Supreme Court issued a late night unsigned emergency order, a late night unsigned. We've heard about late night many times. Emergency order blocking President Trump from deporting foreign nationals tied to the violent Venezuelan Trendy gang who are being held at the Blue Bonnet Detention Center in Texas under the centuries-old Alien Enemies Act. The ruling came in response to a hastily filed emergency appeal from the ACLU on behalf of a putative class of non-citizen detainees. According to the ACLU, plaintiffs learned that the government has been giving notices of removal to class members in English only, which do not say how much time individuals have to contest the removal or even how to do so. And officers last night told class members they will be removed within 24 hours, which expires as early as this afternoon. So upon information and belief, individuals have already been loaded on buses. In a fiery dissent joined by Justice Clarence Thomas, Alito took direct aim at the court's liberal majority, blasting their 11th hour injunction as legally questionable and procedurally incoherent. So he was saying literally in the middle of the night, the court issued unprecedented and legally questionable relief without giving the lower courts a chance to rule, without hearing from the opposing party within 8 hours of receiving the application, with dubious factual support for its order, and without providing any explanation for its order, Alito wrote in his opinion. I refused to join the court's order because we had no good reason to think that under the circumstances, issuing an order at midnight was necessary or appropriate. Both the executive and the judiciary have an obligation to follow the law. According to Alito, the Supreme Court had only jurisdiction if the Fifth Court appeals had jurisdiction first, and the Fifth Court could not act only if the order appealed from was denial and preliminary injunction, not a temporary restraining order. So basically, this gets into a lot of legal mumbo jumbo that is not appealing to the viewer or the listener's ear. But the point is, there's emergency orders going on that are kind of illegal, that are not going well, that Alito is putting up a petition against this, along with Clarence Thomas. And I think that's wonderful because, like I said, we've spent so much time, money, and effort going back and forth with these people. And these illegals that we know are gang members causing crime all the time in the streets, harm to our citizens. And I don't think any one of us want to use our taxpayer money to ship them back for a second and third time and then put them through trials and everything else. They should not be here in the first place. Next up, we have Mark Zuckerberg. Let me see. Mark Zuckerberg reportedly tried to cozy up to President Trump to slash a looming $30 billion antitrust lawsuit down to $450 million. According to a report from the Wall Street Journal, Zuckerberg personally reached out to the head of the Federal Trade Commission in March to offer a $450 million settlement, which was a mere 1.5% of what the government says Meta owns for years of monopolistic power grabs, particularly its shady acquisitions of Instagram and WhatsApp. Well, we're aware of that and what happened with all of that. Zuckerberg believed President Trump would have his back and to try to cash in on his donations and political posturing to win favor with the president. And I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day saying, Zuckerberg went to the White House, said that he was going to pull down the so-called truth checkers, fact checkers, and all that. And there was going to be a lot more transparency with what's going on with Facebook. There was no censorship, but that is all falling to the wayside. As you know, LW's Facebook page has been hacked. There's been censorship before it was even hacked. That's why it's not up. Tons of censorship, tons of warnings, tons of threatening to be taken down. So that was basically, we see what was going on is, despite his visit to Mar-a-Lago twice and attending Trump's inauguration, Zuckerberg basically was trying to pull the wool over his eyes and get a deal done. So Trump said basically it's a no deal. And it said that Zuckerberg's campaign did culminate in a phone call to FTC chair Andrew Ferguson offering the $450 million to settle the case. But Ferguson, to his credit, did not budge, thankfully, calling the offer non-credible and reaffirming the agency's demand for the at least $18 billion and a binding consent decree. So the trial proceeded as scheduled. So this is good news because they're not caving to that and they're not letting him get away with this. So this is good news. Then this story is really going to upset you. It upset me. It's completely disturbing and once again takes aim at our children. It happened over Easter weekend. So a drag group named the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, an order of queer and trans nuns. If that's not blasphemous, I don't know what is. They hosted a trans event on Easter Sunday at a public park, which includes a hunky Jesus and a foxy Mary drag contest and events aimed at children. This event was themed as No Easter Without Tea, and the invitation flyer showed a tattooed Jesus surrounded by men in drag. In an Instagram post, the group invites the community to celebrate their 46th anniversary at Easter in the Park in recognition of our trans brothers and sisters who are under siege. The stage show had live music, performances of some of the city's best, they claim, drag and trans talent, and the legendary Easter bonnet, Foxy Mary, and Hunky Jesus contests. The Easter Bunny welcomes parents and their little ones to the children's Easter, they claim. The live show featured some of the following performers that are transgender and gender nonconforming, including trans opera star, Brianna Sinclair, trans and drag king hip-hop legends, the Mama's Boys. The group's Instagram shared the past winners of the Easter drag contest, including transgender Maria de Guapaloo, and pro-choice Mary, and Black Women as God. In 2023, the group was honored by Major League Baseball and the LA Dodgers, and this is an Easter event that included children. To me, it's blasphemous, it's sickening, and it needs to stop. Anything that includes children like this, we all, I think, can agree that they should not be subject to this kind of thing. It's ridiculous. Next up, we have something else in California. A school board meeting in California Thursday night included protesters chanting "Hail Satan" in support of transgender athletes in girls' sports. Sometimes, you guys, I can't believe the words that I'm reading in these stories. It's just horrible. The Chino Valley Unified School District Board meeting in San Bernardino County featured opposing protesters delivering impassioned speeches on the issue, and many speeches cited Bible scriptures. At one point, Police escorted a woman who was there to oppose trans inclusion, citing the Bible, out of the meeting. Footage from that meeting is out there on websites and in the internet. You can see it, but it does show several protesters there to support trans inclusion, chanting "Hail Satan." How Hail Satan has anything to do with trans inclusion is beyond me, but I think that's very telling. At last night's board meeting, we passed several pro-parent and pro-female athlete resolutions to provide measures that protect girls' sports and uphold the fundamental rights of parents to raise and guide their children without government interference or radical agendas, Shaw told Fox News Digital, a representative for the school. In response, a small but loud group of outside agitators descended on the meeting, screaming, cussing, and even chanting phrases like "Hail Satan" in front of families and children. Shaw added that she received a death threat via email in the days leading up to the meeting in response to her stance opposing trans inclusion in girls' sports. What we witnessed was deeply unsettling, adults behaving in sadistic and hateful ways, all in the name of equality. As Christian Salazar, whose daughter Isabel's speech at the meeting was interrupted by the chants. There was even a teacher from my daughter's school, Sanchez stated, that was interrupting the meeting and yelling "Hail Satan" as he walked out and flipped everyone off. So these are the teachers at this school in California. I cannot believe that people would be able to and want to send their children to this school. These are levels that we haven't seen with teachers, with staff, children being included in devil and negativity and trans and all that is so fundamentally wrong. We as humans need to do better. We need to understand that if you're 18 and over and you're a legal adult, you do what you want to do. But when you involve children and you affect their psyche, that is so wrong and so evil. Last up, to freshen our breasts and our minds with beautiful things over Easter weekend. The White House Easter event was much different than last year's. That time-honored event at the White House tradition included a classic egg roll and an egg hunt for children and families attending the event, as well as numerous other activities. The year egg roll comes on the day after, actually, the 250th anniversary of Paul Revere's Midnight Ride and the shot heard around the world in Lexington, Massachusetts, which marked the beginning of the Revolutionary War. As part of the lead up to a nationwide commemoration of the 250th celebration of America's founding, the America 250 initiative, featured on the South Lawn, brought history to life for kids and families who sign a mini Declaration of Independence. How cool is that? They dressed up as founding fathers, I like that, and enjoy an activity book, George the Star, an America 250 story. Several of the activities were part of the First Lady's Be Best initiative. There was a Be Best military card writing station, so kids got to be creative and encouraged to write letters to American service members. How about that? That's beautiful and wonderful, along with the Be Best hopscotch. Hopscotch, good old-fashioned hopscotch we used to play as kids. The American Egg Board provided a hen-to-home activity as well as a garden cafe for tasty treats. Tech Titans were also participating in the White House Historical Association with AI-powered experiences and photo opportunities. And Amazon was supplying a reading nook and an opportunity for family pictures to celebrate reading. Not celebrating trans, not celebrating all this nasty, evil, ugly stuff. These children, and it was beautiful. People were dressed up classy and beautiful. If you saw the pictures and the videos, it was so wonderful compared to last year. And even some of these stories that I just read that happened over Easter weekend with these events. Some of the readers that included at that event was for the First Lady, of course, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Good news too, and it was very, to me, emotional. The bands for the Marine Corps, Army, Navy, and Air Force performed on the Bunny Hop stage. What a cute name, the Bunny Hop stage. So here we are in comparison at two different Easter events. One represents America and celebrating America as the beautiful place that she is and can continue to be. And then we have the one that is with trans. So a lot of emotions over the weekend, but Jesus has risen. Life is good. It's going to be okay. We just have to keep fighting the fight, and keeping our eyes forward on what is going on out there in the world, and paying attention that even though a lot is being done to correct a lot of things that are destructive for America, there's a lot of work to still be done. So each and every day, Monday through Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time, I plan on being here to bring that information to you, to keep you informed, and have some good news as well. Like I said, the White House Easter egg event was amazing. So that's what I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be back here on the LWN Network tomorrow at 12 Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys can join me. And till then, take care. God bless. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.